Having a wonderful week so far. My name is Anomaly. If you don't already know, check me out on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Legendary Energy, spelled just like that, or you can search Anomaly, A-N-0-M-A-L-Y. My YouTube, just search Anomaly, A-N-0-M-A-L-Y. For my Instagram is @DreamRare, and of course my Facebook is right here, so follow on Facebook. Mark, what's up? I'm gonna say hello real quick. You got the first comment, so you get the hello. And I want to talk about two very major stories that the mainstream media is not going to talk about today, because if you haven't noticed yet, the mainstream media just disseminates propaganda, they lies, they push negativity and fear-mongering on the entire world. That's what they do. Before I even get into the news, I want to talk about a lot of positive things. I had a beautiful Uber ride today, Uber or Lyft, either one, and my Lyft. My Lyft driver was from Uganda, and he was just saying what a blessing America is, and he said any Americans who are negative and hateful of America, they should travel other places like Uganda to really be grateful for what they have. I mean, you're allowed to drive for a Lyft and Uber, which you can make your own hours. You don't have to work a 9 to 5 anymore. You're allowed to travel throughout the city. We have healthy food all over the place. We have some incredible inventions. These are the greatest times to be alive in humanity ever, and we're very lucky and privileged to be in the United States. But for some reason, the fake news media wants everybody to be in a constant state of fear, paranoia, negativity, and just hate themselves, hate their country, hate the world, and hate anybody who's trying to liberate them from freedom. That's fake news media. Let's talk about the stories that they're pushing today, because of course they're not going to be pushing peace and love and positivity and optimism and unity. They're going to continuously push division and war and selling weapons and funding terrorists. This is what the media does. The New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, Vox, Newsweek, all of these news sources, large majority of them, they act like social justice warriors, they act like environmentalists, they act like racial leaders, but they're no MLK, they're no Malcolm X, they're actually the opposite. If those people were alive, they would be disgusted that they're brainwashing people all over the world. So first, I'm going to start with the two stories that the news has been just blasting through people's face on Twitter and Facebook, because everybody knows whenever there's a good story, they always have some sort of propaganda story to confuse people. So the confusion story, of course, is Donald Trump Jr., who talked to a Russian lawyer. I had a phone call with somebody from Russia. I have Russian friends. I didn't know it was a crime to talk to people from Russia. You should let people know. I have people in my apartment building who are Russian. Somebody let me know not to talk to them, because if I do, I might get harassed by the mainstream media for talking to Russian people. Had no idea it was okay to be racist and xenophobic against Russians, but you learn something new every day. So of course, they're still pushing this Russia propaganda. Everything Russia. So that's the fake story. Who cares that Donald Trump Jr. talked to a Russian lawyer? Good. I hope he talked to 10 Russian lawyers, because I could really care less. Because the major news when it comes to Russia is that the United States and Russia have agreed to a ceasefire in Syria. That's peace. That's no more war for thus time. This is settling things out. They have a plan to get rid of ISIS out of Syria and then make it so Assad has to step down. It's a very smart strategy. Instead of killing Assad or forcing Assad out and leaving Syria to be a complete power vacuum to get taken over by terrorists, which is exactly what happened in Iraq and Libya, they're actually having a better strategy. But the fake news media, they don't want you to know that, because the fake news media, they want you to want war. They want you to be salivating. Yes, fight Syria, kill Assad, let terrorism take over. That's what happened during Obama's 8 years. While he was smiling, while everyone wasn't paying attention, including myself, I was like, man, look at Obama's jump shot. He's so dope, man. Look at him on Comedy Central. He's so funny. I had no idea that terrorism was expanding all over the Middle East, because they did a good job to keep me, confused, and that's what they're still doing. But a ceasefire is huge, because it's the first step to a peaceful society and getting back to normal structures. So there's a ceasefire in Syria. You would think that would be major news. Hey, ceasefire in Syria. But look at how the media frames it. All you have to do is Google ceasefire in Syria, and you could tell who's fake news and who's real news. Not a lot of real news out there, because all of the news sources, Washington Post said, oh, look, it's testing Trump's friendship with Putin. Because nothing makes them more mad than halting the military-industrial complex. And I'm not even saying Trump's doing that. He sold a lot of weapons to Saudi Arabia and Qatar. I'm critical of that as well. But he is a chink in the chain. He's not perfect, but he's a chink in their war machine chain, and they can't stand it. Look at Newsweek, look at all the ways they frame this. They're like, here's why the ceasefire in Syria won't last. Well, I'm telling you why it might last, because instead of a fake ceasefire or leaders that are funding terrorism, you have a president in office who's stopping terrorism, which leads me to my next point, is in Iraq. The second largest city in Iraq is called Mosul, M-O-S-U-L. And Mosul today was retaken by Iraqis and with the United States' help. So the Iraqi, I believe, prime minister declared victory over ISIS in Mosul. This is huge, because while nobody cared, all of the social justice warriors, all of the liberals, all of the resistance and anti-Trump crowd that just wants to get Trump out, they don't care about prosperity, they don't care about freedom, they're not grateful for anything, they're not positive, they're not optimistic, they don't care about, children getting drone strikes, they don't care about pedophilia. This is the modern day social justice warrior, the modern day feminist, the modern day activist. They don't care about all of the most disgusting things that are happening. They just like to get lied to by fake news media. So anyway, while none of them care about this, this is a huge deal, because ISIS took over Iraq. This is a place where people live, okay? Maybe to people in the United States, we're so uncultured that we just look at Iraq and we're like, oh, it's a hellhole of this and that. But there's many beautiful people in Iraq, women, children, men, a lot of amazing, beautiful families that don't deserve to be taken over by ISIS. ISIS is chopping people's heads off. They're killing peaceful Muslims. They're killing peaceful Christians. They're killing peaceful atheists. They're killing pretty much anybody. They just have no sort of order. They're just like the world's rebels. And they had control of Iraq's second largest city. Why do no social justice warriors care about this? Why am I one of the only ones talking about this in America? I have no idea. I can't answer you that, but I mean, it shows the constant hypocrisy of the modern day Trump activists, because they really don't care. They didn't care that Obama let ISIS just rampage throughout the Middle East and kill people and chop people's heads off and destroy people's lives. And they certainly don't care that Mosul, the Iraq's second largest city, is now being retaken over by Iraq with the help of the United States. This is amazing. Like I said this back in October and November. If Trump really says does what he says he's going to do, ISIS won't even be around for the next 2 years, because we have the largest military. I mean, what is the number one thing that everybody always complains about, activists, and rightfully so, is that we have the largest defense budget. Our defense budget's enormous. It's more than the next multiple countries combined. The United States has the largest military budget and the largest defense budget. So at bare minimum, if all of our tax dollars are going to go to a defense budget, at bare minimum, the least that they could do is actually stop terrorism. I mean, if you're getting billions upon billions of dollars more than all these countries, how can you not stop terrorism? And my answer to that, I posted a Salon article, who is a very liberal site, but even Salon, a liberal website, are admitting now that CNN was using people from ISIS and Al-Qaeda on their news networks. CNN was recently caught faking everything. They have their producers saying that the whole Russia thing is a staged thing for ratings. They even gave a platform to a pedophile recently. I believe his name was Jacob Schwartz, who was a Democratic leader. He was seen with all of Hillary's campaign manager. He was on CNN multiple times as an analyst, and he was a pedophile that got caught with hundreds of videos of as young as 6-month-olds. And of course, social justice warriors don't care that there's pedophiles all over CNN, but I guess that's what the modern day social justice warrior is. Just don't care about anything and be selfish and ignorant and hateful. But whatever. The point that I'm trying to make is there's a ceasefire in Syria, which is amazing, incredible. And then Mosul, the second largest city in Iraq, is being retaken over. This is amazing. ISIS is not going to even exist for another year or two, but you would never know about it because the media doesn't care. What did the media tell you during Barack Obama's presidency? And I'm not a right-wing person. I've never voted Republican in my life. I've always been left-leaning. I care about the environment. I care about social justice. I care about compassion and love and unity and racial freedom and religious freedom. That's who I am. These are the things that I care about. So people try to label me this and that. That's just their own inadequacies and their own stubbornness. You know, they're trying to project it onto me. But anyway, during Barack Obama's presidency, terrorism was spreading and spreading and spreading and spreading and spreading. And now during Trump's presidency, terrorism is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And it's not by chance. If you look up a lot of reports, if you listen to Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who took a trip to Syria, she was saying that the United States agencies and even the government tax dollars were being used to fund terrorism. Of course, I mean, like I said a bunch of times, I said today and multiple times, how can we have the largest defense budget and then ISIS spreads all over the Middle East, a terrorism group that didn't even exist 10 years ago, and we're all dumbfounded? It's because our government was funding the terrorists. Our mainstream news sources that act like, oh, everybody but me is racist. I'm CNN, I'm Washington Post, I'm MSNBC. Oh, everybody's racist. Conservatives are racist, and patriots are racist, and independent news sources are racist, and progressive news sources are racist. Everybody's racist but them. Meanwhile, their non-racist social justice warrior news sources are letting terrorism spread all over the world, chop off babies' heads, and they could care less because they're actually part of the same coalition that's funding these terrorists. So, once again, I've talked to many people. I'm not a huge Trump fan. I didn't like Trump from the beginning. I didn't vote for him. If you did or you didn't, I could care less. I respect you either way. But what I'm trying to say is, most people like me that have a message like me, they write them off completely because they say they're racist, sexist, xenophobic, they're conservatives and that's all they care about, they're right-wing, whatever. I'm not right-wing, so you can't put me in that bubble. I'm just an honest person who actually cares about people. I'm not a fake person who says, oh, I care about everybody, and then, I'm ignoring pedophilia, and I'm ignoring war, and I'm ignoring the ceasefire, and I'm ignoring the fact that now Mosul is being taken over by people and not terrorists anymore. That's what the fakes do. That's what the phonies do. Unfortunately, they're running rampant all over social media, on Twitter. They're praising Chelsea Clinton on Twitter. She's got like 100,000 retweets. It's like, do you know how disgusting the Clinton family is and the Clinton Foundation is? If you did, you wouldn't be retweeting her because she's not, there's nothing, no substance there with Chelsea Clinton. But that's what the phonies are doing. Here I am telling you the truth, and I'm going to continuously support President Trump more and more if this type of stuff is going to happen. Yes, I'm critical that he gave $100 billion in weapons to Saudi Arabia, and he's funding Qatar. But I'm just weighing out my options. That's what they would have done anyway. The military-industrial complex is a hard thing to stop. I don't know if he wants to or not, but what I can tell you is he's defeating terrorism. He's doing the right thing in Syria, which is revolutionary. I mean, there's not a single other person that I know of. It would have been puppet, who would have smiled, laughed at us, and just started a war with Russia, would have shot down Syrian aircrafts, would have tried to overthrow Assad in Syria and leave a whole power vacuum for ISIS to run rampant. And a lot of people, including myself, I don't think it's a coincidence. It's what they were purposely doing, because how easy is it to control the whole world if you have a problem? A lot of good analysts say they create the problem to then provide the solution. So if everything's running perfectly and smoothly, there's no way to make excuses to go take over certain areas of the world. So it's almost like they purposely expanded ISIS, because now that's a perfect that's a perfect excuse to flood everywhere with refugees and send all of these people who are from 30 to 60% pro-ISIS and send them all to countries, and then go to the Middle East and be like, oh, look, ISIS is everywhere. Looks like we got to go everywhere. But it's not a coincidence. These past politicians and these media sources were funding terrorism. That's how it expanded. I mean, it's not a theory anymore. It's a fact. Under the Obama administration, you could Google this too, the United States got caught paying $500 million to a British PR firm to make fake ISIS and Al-Qaeda videos. If there's real things going on, there's real ISIS and real Al-Qaeda things, why would you be paying a British PR firm $500 million to make fake propaganda about the terrorist situation? We've been getting lied to for a very long time, and it's a beautiful thing to have a president that's cutting through the mainstream media. He's calling out the mainstream media. When people say to me, Anomaly, why do you support President Trump, this and that? It's because he's calling out the root of the problem. The root of the problem is not the president. First of all, no matter who's in office, the people have the power, and these are the greatest times to be alive ever, and no matter who's in office, President Trump, Clinton, The Rock, Bill Gates, it doesn't even matter because the people have the power. Now we're connected. Now we have technology. We're seeing through the bullshit. We're fighting for healthy foods again. We're fighting against the pharmacy industry. We're fighting for freedom. And we're not letting our brothers and sisters be destroyed by war anymore. We're the change. So don't let them trick you. These are the greatest times to be alive. No matter who's in office, it's too late anyway. Everybody knows the mainstream media is a war propaganda machine that lies to everybody. Everybody knows it doesn't matter. President Trump has nothing to do with it. Hillary Clinton has nothing to do with it. It's the power to the people. So keep stepping up. It's too late for them to stop it. There's millions of people who know. There's tens of hundreds of millions of people who know. It's too late. The revolution's begun. It's underway. It's a wrap for the New World Order, the globalists, and the phony politicians and corporations and banks who want to control the world. It's just not going to happen. They're losing. And I support President Trump because although he might say some things wrong, I disagree with him about certain things, and certain things he says in an uglier format, but he's going at the root of the problem. The root of the problem is the media, because if everybody knew the truth, they have a soul, a conscience, like, oh my goodness, children are getting raped and in sex slavery at 6 years old. That's not okay. That's what a normal human being does, but you don't know about it because they won't tell you about it. They won't tell you about the pedophiles that are running rampant in Washington, D.C. and all over the world, and the kids that are getting swiped up from Haiti and the United States. They don't want you to know. They want you to go to the movies and watch a movie, watch TV, read their fake news propaganda, and just blame everything on Donald Trump. That's what they want you to do, but it's not the right move. They've been the ones. Why do you think that terrorism expanded so much? It's because the media is completely fake. They have been for 10 plus years, and they've been lying about virtually everything. You don't have the biggest defense budget and let terrorism run rampant. That doesn't happen unless nobody knows it's happening. And that's what they did. They kept everyone under wrap for the past 8 years. And a lot of people in America and all over the world, they're sick and tired of being lied to. They're sick and tired of terrorism running rampant. They're sick and tired of their wages going down and the price of everything going up. They're sick and tired of getting taxed higher and higher and higher and higher, but having less and less and less freedom. People are sick and tired of it. Less taxes, more freedom, more honesty. And to have a president of the United States who's going at CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times, I can't tell you how revolutionary that is. Every activist, every internet activist, every humanitarian, every environmentalist should be behind him, because that's the root of the problem. And as far as global warming and climate change and the environmental process and the fact that Trump is not as environmentally friendly as people want to do, there's a great story I shared yesterday about India. People in India planted 66 million trees in under 12 hours or something ridiculous. They planted 66 million trees. If there's a problem with carbon and methane and greenhouse gases, guess what? Trees. You can plant trees. We can do something about everything. We have inventions to clean the air. We have inventions to clean the water. We just need to stop being blinded by the fake news media and just do it. We don't need government to do it. We don't need Barack Obama or Donald Trump to do it. We're big boys. We're big boys and girls. We can do it ourselves. Look at India. They don't even have electricity in a lot of parts of their country, and they planted 66 million trees. Why? Probably because they don't have electricity. They're not blinded by all of the fake news like we are, so they actually go out and do something about it. So I'm sick and tired of environmentalists as well being like, oh my God, Trump's going to do this and that. We're big boys and girls, okay? I don't need Trump to do anything for me. I'm going to clean the air myself. I'm looking into ways to clean Los Angeles' air because I know the politicians aren't going to do it, and I know Donald Trump's not going to do it. So all of these social justice warriors, you have to put your stubbornness and your ego to the side and really look at what's going on, because these same media sources, they don't care about the environment. It's President Trump that's really blasting through the narrative, and he's creating peace in Syria. He's on his way to creating more peace in Iraq. How is that racist? These are the most oppressed people in the world. You think people in the United States are oppressed? Why don't you go to Iraq? Why don't you go to Syria and look at the war and the devastation that they have to deal with every single day? That's real oppression. That's real racism. That's real xenophobia. That's real religious oppression. What they're dealing with in Syria and Iraq. And who's coming to their rescue? It's not the Democrats. It's not the Republicans. It's not the politicians. It's not the mainstream media. It's President Donald Trump, who's stepping up, talking to Vladimir Putin instead of just lying about everything. And he's creating a ceasefire in Syria. It's really amazing. I mean, every humanitarian should be pretty impressed with what's going on. I know I have, because I was questioning at first, man, he's selling a lot of weapons, which he absolutely is, and it's not right, but it's a whole finessing thing. You can't just blast through. It's a chess game, and Trump is just out chessing everybody. He just is. I mean, you watch the moves he's making. He's taking down the media. He's taking down corrupt Democrats. Just wait. If you're mad at me or upset, which you're probably not if you're here, you're probably enjoy it and appreciate it. But if you're upset with me, be patient. We'll wait a year, we'll wait 2 years, we'll come back and we'll see if everything I said is right, and we'll see if everything I've told you about the media and about Iraq and about Syria and about the Middle East and about the United States, we'll see if it's right, because so far I'm on a roll. I've had multiple predictions from February saying that if Bernie Sanders is cheated, that Donald Trump will win because Hillary Clinton's unelectable. I told you about the Russia thing being a complete phony fabrication in October. Most of what I said is completely accurate, and it's going to continue to do so, because the truth is going to be the truth no matter who says it. Kim Jong-un, Putin, me, Trump, Hillary Clinton, it doesn't matter. The truth is the truth, and what's happening is what's happening. So as the fake news media, just to wrap it up, is distracting everybody with Chelsea Clinton and Donald Trump Jr. talking to a lawyer, there's a ceasefire in Syria. What's more important? Donald Trump having a conversation with a Russian lawyer, or peace in Syria? It's the biggest deal. There's wars and bombs being dropped on kids, and it's not funny, but it's funny how obvious this is that people can't put it together. What's more important? Gossip, TMZ gossip about Donald Trump Jr., or a war that's being stopped, a ceasefire? And in Mosul, Iraq, the second largest city in Iraq, being taken back over by the Iraqis as opposed to ISIS. If you really care about xenophobia and racism, you should care that people in Iraq are getting slaughtered because they don't even have control of their own cities. Not until now, because we have a president and an organization in government now that's calling out all the BS. It's all been BS. Everyone knows. I don't understand why people are acting like they didn't know politicians were BS and all of politics was BS. It's been a fact for 20 years. Anytime you talk to anybody, even when people voted for Barack Obama, including myself, everybody even knew then. They're like, it's the lesser of two evils. You know, it's all BS, but it's the lesser of two evils. I trust Barack. We've known this. Why now that President Trump's in office, he's calling out all the BS and the corruption. Now we're going to pretend like politicians were perfect and there was no problems in DC and big bad Trump is the problem? You've got to be kidding me. How dishonest and mind-controlled can people be? Step up. Be free, because it doesn't matter who's in office. Trump, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, whoever is going to try to run next, it doesn't matter. The power is in the hands of the people. We're taking back the media. We're taking back the country. While the fake news media tells everybody that President Trump's selling out our country to other... No. The United States has already been sold out to other country. Our media is already sold out. That's why he even ran in the first place, because our country is already owned and manipulated by corporations in other countries, and they flip reality and make everybody realize like, oh, I think he's going to sell it out. No, it's been sold out. We're taking it back. We're taking back the media. We're taking back the flow of information. We're taking back the country, and we're taking back the whole world, because we care about people in Syria and Iraq. Unlike the phony social justice warriors who consider themselves Democrats and liberals and whatever, I don't care. I don't care what you label yourself. I don't have a label for myself. But at least if you're going to be a liberal and you're going to be a Democrat and you're going to be a humanitarian and you're going to be a social justice warrior, the least you could do is care about Iraq, care about Syria, care about Somalia and Yemen, and maybe say something once in a while, because we have a ceasefire and we have Iraqis taking back their home city that was stolen from them by terrorists thanks to failed policies from past presidents and past politicians. And there's complete silence from a certain side of the political debate. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you. I'm going to put my links below. If you want to donate and support my news analysis and journalism, I'm going to put my donor box link. I appreciate it. We're outperforming major news corporations by ourselves. All we got is a cell phone. And you guys, you know the power of love, compassion, truth, honesty, real unity, and real wisdom, and real connection. That's all we have, and we're outperforming nearly every news source. So let's keep it up. Thank you guys so much. Have a good day.